I'm Brandon Amoroso, and this is the D2Z podcast, building and growing your business from a Gen Z perspective.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to D2Z, a podcast about using the Gen Z mindset to grow your business. I'm Gen Z entrepreneur Brandon Amoroso, founder and president of retention as a service agency, Electric. Today I'm talking with Andrea Popova, CEO of CPGD, an online platform to discover emerging consumer brands and the resources to build them. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into things, can you just give everybody a quick background on yourself?
Yeah, so I have a long background in retail and e-commerce. That's where I spent the majority of my career. I actually started my career launching my own bubble tea cocktail pop-up bar. And it was really because I just really liked milk tea and I didn't really drink that much. And when I did drink, I wanted to have a sweet cocktail that kind of tasted like nothing like a cocktail. So I was serving those drinks for a while, won some startup competitions, decided I'm not ready to be a founder, and worked as a consultant at Walmart.com, which was really great to get kind of a big retailer experience. And then went on to work at Pros, which is kind of a medium-sized startup right now, a hair care brand for custom hair care, and loved it, but had the opportunity to run CPGD, which was already an existing platform built by someone else. And then he had sold the company to someone who then brought me on to run it and monetize it and grow it into what it is today. So it's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of founders over the last year and a half and been able to help them grow their businesses in a number of ways, including being connected with investors and buyers and just help feature their new launches and share them with the world. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome. So now are you full-time CPGD?
Yes, I've been doing it full-time for the last 6 months. And part of that is also doing growth consulting for brands. So building out this kind of agency piece to CPG. And it's been a way for me to not only monetize and pay myself, but also to be able to grow my expertise around how to grow brands, which has then gone back to the community. It's been a lot of fun.
Would you say that for the CPG brands that are just starting out, like what are they typically coming to you for first and foremost?
For brands that I speak with, they're so early stage that really they just want to get off the ground and kind of steer the ship while they're building it. So it's not like, how can we launch some crazy new campaigns, but it's really just, how can we set up our email flows? How can we make sure we're spending money across paid media in the most efficient way? If we only have $1,000 a month to spend on media, where should we spend it? So those are the kinds of questions that I help optimize for or answer. And really just getting in there, rolling up my sleeves and setting up things that need to be done with a user mindset and understanding like flows and also how it all fits together.
Got it. That makes sense. I'm sure there's no shortage of potential avenues that a brand could potentially go down. Started. It probably, would you say most of the founders that you work with, are they coming from like an e-commerce background, or are they more on the like traditional retail side of things when it comes to experience? Because I'm sure there's people who lean more heavily into like product development and operations, and then there's those that are all like marketing but don't really have any idea on the product and operation side of things, which would be me. My own brand. Or was it just really a mix of both?
Well, most of the founders I speak with, it's their first time ever launching a company, and they come from a background of maybe more, well, it's kind of across the board. Maybe some come from a marketing background, some come from an operations background, but as an early founder, you really have to do it all. So I think my role has been, I guess, helping connect the dots for founders who maybe had one specialization before, and now they need to connect growth to paid, to content, to all these different pieces that move together. And analytics too is a big piece that I come in and help build out, because that's mostly my background as well. So I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. I think it's interesting, the sort of combination that you have of sort of like a marketplace of the brands and the agencies, but then you're also able to help sort of give that one-to-one consultative approach to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, my biggest problem really has been just scaling that, because I'm just one person and I try to build out tech that kind of scales what I do for each brand individually. So for example, a lot of brands will ask me what service or what agency should we use for affiliates or for paid media buying. And so before I was kind of doing these one-off connections, but now I'm building out a directory of agencies to be able to vet those more easily. And then there's going to be a membership layer on top of that where we're going to match make and help brands really find the best more efficiently.
What sort of tech are you working on to try and help enable that?
So our website is built on Webflow, and we're using a membership extension, I guess you could call it, that's built for Webflow. And the membership will be like, brands will pay $100 a year. So really drops in the bucket, like a penny in the bucket, to get discounts to all the tools they use, like Klaviyo and Tolstoy and No Commerce, things like that. And then they'll also be able to get curated lists of agencies that are best for them and truly vetted ones. They won't be like just a sales tactic. It'll be, there's reviews on the back end that kind of power that. So all launching very soon, TBD.
Well, that's exciting. Is there, like, do you ever do events with tech partners? Because I feel like you have a substantial amount of brands in here that tech partners would want to get access to when it comes to like event marketing and stuff like that.
That's been one of the biggest surprises for me, is how easy it is to kind of set up these events, not from a amount of work standpoint, because events take so much work, but that how easy the pieces kind of come together, because the agencies and services we speak with want to be connected to the brands, and the brands want to go to fun events. So we where they can meet other investors and other potential founders as well. So yeah, the services will kind of host the events, and we had a panel actually a few weeks ago with Lunar Solar Group, which is an agency that does email marketing, and they hosted this panel, and then we had a bunch of brands there, and I think everyone saw a bunch of value out of it. So yeah, definitely a lot of cross, like a flywheel of sorts, and cross collaboration and synergies.
Do you vet the brands before they're listed on your directory, or?
Yeah, I actually only add 5 brands a week, and that was initially set by the founder. He was doing that in the beginning, kind of just continue that. And I think it's a good way to just keep it really curated. And I find that, and I'm almost like humbled by the fact that brands will reach out and say, what can we do to get on your directory? So it seems like this coveted thing for some to be in the directory. And I think that adds to the excitement of like, which ones are going to be added this week, because not everyone can be. It's a limited supply.
Are you doing sort of a similar approach to the agency side?
That one, no, actually. For now, I'm just getting a full list. And actually, I haven't done any, I mean, I posted about it in the newsletter once, but I haven't done any more outreach than that. We already have 100 agencies signed up who put their own information in. So I think getting as much content there as possible will help us then be able to curate and vet more effectively. And then that'll be tied to the membership and everything like that. So less curated to start with the agencies, because we just want to get as many on there as possible.
Got it. That makes sense. I think sifting through like the quality, because there's obviously so many agencies. Will be a challenge.
Yeah, I didn't know there were so many until they all started piling in. I was like, oh my God, I've never heard of a lot of you. So, and they've worked on all the brands that I know. So it's just crazy to see how many agencies there are out there.
Yeah. I mean, you have all the context of the brands too. So I think that'll help you sort of source and vet which ones are going to be relevant to put up.
It's also self-selecting, like the ones that are posting to CPGD probably already have kind of like the design, eye, and aesthetic that our brands are most interested in anyway. Oh, and also actually one filter that it is set to is, in order to be posted to the directory, you have to have worked on a brand in the directory. So, and there is a filter for that. So actually that keeps it self-curated. Who knows how many agencies we'd have if that wasn't like a qualifier, but yeah.
Probably thousands.
Yeah.
Are there any like the trends that you're seeing in the CPG space going into next year, whether it's like product type or packaging or anything of that nature?
I guess aside from just the general market being it being a difficult time to raise and difficult time to acquire customers for technical and market related reasons, those are kind of definitely weighing on me and the founders right now. But some other trends I'm seeing, I don't know if this was always the case, but a lot of collabs. I think brands are seeing that it's hard to acquire customers. So one way to bypass a lot of the iOS hurdles and things like that is to just leverage someone else's community. So a lot of brands are doing cross collaborations. I recently purchased Chubby Snacks and TBH. It's like a Uncrustable with peanut butter and hazelnut spread inside. And I thought that was a really smart collaboration. There's so many. I mean, the list goes on. Martha Stewart and Liquid Death did a candle. Yeah. So I think that's definitely been a cool trend. Another one is similar to that, is another way to bypass the technical hurdles of acquisition is to just bring on talent and celebrities. So a lot of brands have been bringing on like a celebrity founder or co-founder to help promote the brand, and then they give a piece of equity. So I think that's been more common lately than before, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all just about finding the relevant targeted audience, and it was a lot easier before on Facebook ads to find very specific groups of people, whereas now you have to align with like an influencer or a celebrity who has an audience of people that you're trying to reach, or like you said, another brand, because totally. So many more people like immediately. And have you seen any of your brands do like in-person pop-ups?
Yeah, totally. So many. I feel like the experiential thing has been big. Why can I only think of the Notion coffee stand right now, which is not a CPG brand? But yeah, like, I mean, Chamberlain Coffee had a sort of pop-up stand thing in California. That was really cool. And they actually also leveraged a collab with Swoon. So that was like a double whammy. But I think experiential is also a big one. Just and to that point, kind of leveraging more of the in-person and retail experiences that we kind of dismissed during the peak of the e-commerce growth era, like the Glossier days or the Casper days, when we thought e-commerce was going to be kind of start to replace retail for good. But then retail kind of bounced back and proved itself to be a really important channel for growth, actually. So pop-ups and experiences, I don't think will go anywhere, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I was starting a brand right now, I feel like I would find a location that's like relatively on the cheaper side and use the retail footprint to acquire customers. But then, I don't know, maybe leverage like the Shopify POS so that everything goes into my Shopify store, and then I can nurture them with all the Klaviyo flows and so on. But it feels like it might be a better source of where to put your money than dumping it into Facebook ads at this point.
This is exactly what a brand that I did like an interim head of growth role for Buoy, which is an electrolyte supplement. And they are doing exactly that. They have a hydration station. So it's like a movable food truck, and then they serve drinks from that are infused with Buoy. And then they're going to have an iPad where every order then goes through their Shopify POS, and they're able to retarget them after the fact. So yeah, definitely becoming more and more common, for sure.
I think the events too, like when we were working with Florence by Mills, I really wanted them to do in-person event, because you could just create like a list in Klaviyo of everybody within, I don't know, 25 miles of the zip code that you'll have the pop-up at. Should be very easy to get people there. I'm sure there would be some like press pickup and virality to it, given the nature of like their founder. And then on top of that, you get all the UGC from the event,
Yeah.
Actually build, like everybody talks about, oh, we have a community, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, do you really have a community? I feel like the in-person, when you have an event like that and all of your fans and all of your customers show up, then they start to connect with one another. That is where you can really start to unlock some larger growth potential and opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish there was even better tech actually to generate or capture UGC at events like that. Like maybe the truck or setup should have iPhones or cameras on all angles to be able to capture these and then quickly edit them into like short footage for TikTok or Reels. But yeah, I think there's tons with that too, like the tech and retail combinations that can then amplify the noise of that. So
Yeah.
really cool.
Are you, I know you had mentioned the fundraising side of things. Are brands right now sort of, let's say, consolidating and sort of tempering their growth expectations and riding out this wave? Or what are you seeing on that front? And then I guess my second question, that would be like, have you ever thought of having some sort of a smaller angel style or like Series A investment arm for CPGD?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think now is a time when founders don't have money just raining in. There was a time when it was like investors had so much money coming in. I mean, this isn't totally accurate, but this was kind of the vibe. Had so much money coming in, they were like, where can we put this? And they were investing left and right. And that led to, brands being able to spend on paid media beyond their means and things like that. But now it's just less the case. So definitely I see CEOs that are more approaching this with more frugality and kind of more of like a let's hunker down and see how we can get through the next 6 to 12 months in the most efficient way possible. Those are the ones that I think are going to come out on the other side most successfully. The others who really don't know how to build an organic community and don't really have product market fit naturally, maybe won't really make it there. So that's definitely something I'm seeing. In terms of opening or starting a venture arm or investment arm, I have thought of starting a syndicate for CPGD members to be able to invest together. I have personally like angel invested in a couple things, but I don't think it's like, for now at least, a long-term plan. I much prefer, honestly, that's why I never wanted to be an investor. I just always wanted to be like a growth consultant. I love helping brands grow. I don't really, and I know part of that is capital, but I feel like when you drop a check and then you walk away, it's so much less fun than being in the weeds and rolling up your sleeves and helping them actually do it.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. Plus, sometimes if you're just writing a check, then you're not necessarily, and it's not, I think in order to just like write a check and walk away, you have to have like a big enough check. Otherwise,
It's
like
true.
check, and it's like, well, what's the point if you can't provide value and you're really not giving any money? So
Yeah, that is true.
there's
Yeah.
that.
And definitely not an endless supply of money right now. I mean, I haven't worked at an early company that then IPO'd really crazily down the line. So we'll wait for that money to come in like 5 to 10 years, hopefully.
That's the dream, right?
That's the dream.
I feel like a lot of the companies that raised during the craziness where valuations were super off the charts are actually going to be in a significantly worse position than companies that are just getting started now or who didn't necessarily raise a huge round because they have the unrealistic investor expectations. They don't have like the crazy sort of hiring sprees that they that they all went on. So it'll be interesting, I think, both from a brand side and a technology side, because you're starting to see some new like Shopify apps that aren't really they're not unique in any way necessarily.
Oh yeah, there's 10 of everything.
They're just doing what somebody else did before better, and they don't have sort of the scars from the last 5 years of the e-commerce like boom and bust. And so I'm starting to see more and more of that.
It's really unfortunate and a lot of my friends are investors and I have no problem with venture capital, and I think it's a great way for a lot of brands to grow in a way that allows brands the freedom to think creatively in a way that you really can't if you're bootstrapped. So in that way, venture capital is like, it's a godsend, but it has also kind of led CPG to kind of the struggles that it faces today. Without venture capital funding, kind of pumping brands into a tech-like grow at all costs mentality, then other brands wouldn't have to do the same to keep up, and we wouldn't end up in a position where everyone is kind of growing at a profitless pace indefinitely, and overinflated valuations, and then like there's like no exit opportunities for a lot of these brands now when they were promised these dreams. It's just it's an unfortunate situation when a lot of these brands might have been able to survive much better and totally fine bootstrapped. So
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's very difficult when somebody's trying to give you
how do you turn down millions of dollars? And I would take it, but
yeah, of course. But I feel like the issues with acquisition are almost exposing some brands in a sense, because maybe their product wasn't like the greatest thing ever, or they didn't really focus on customer experience, because they could set up really sophisticated, like top of funnel acquisition campaigns, and they're profitable on the first order. And so then it just doesn't really matter. But as the CAC continues to rise, then now they actually have to get the second or the third order, and they can't just continue to dump the VC money into this advertising platform that's artificially showing growth for their top line revenue.
Yeah, I think acquisition was like the primary concern in the dawn of CPG, and now retention is much more important to both investors and founders. And how do we keep customers engaged long term and buying again and again? Even if you have just 100 customers and they buy over and over again, it's better than having 1,000 customers who only buy once and never see you again, because you have to keep acquiring them. So yeah, definitely. And that's why so many retention tools have popped up in the last years, to your point about Shopify apps too.
Yes, there's no shortage of that. I think one of my favorite things to do with any new client of ours is to just create a segment of all their customers who have ordered like 10 or more times or 15 or more times. And even for some of the smallest brands, you'd be shocked at how many people have ordered that many times from a company.
Yeah.
They talk to them in the same way that they talk to somebody who's placed 2 orders. And it's like, how do you not have some sort of a differentiated experience for like your absolute loyalists? Because you could really turn them into something more here, and they're the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to squeezing out more revenue.
That's so true. Customers or brands don't really focus on their top customers nearly enough, because they're focusing on acquiring new ones. And I've even thought about like, in terms of getting your community to create content for you, because a huge problem for these brands with TikTok, it used to be with Instagram, you need to have a studio set up, really nice camera. But now with TikTok, it's like any UGC is actually really useful, because you just want to pump out organic and natural looking content. So why not get your community to create it for you? There's like no easy way that's affordable for brands to just collect that UGC from their community directly. Like, why not pay people who have bought 15 orders to create content for you, and be able to transact those videos easily? I don't know. So there's something there.
There's a interesting tool that we've started to leverage for some of our brands called Gatsby, and it plugs into Klaviyo, and basically there's a couple of places that you can get it, but all you need is the handle, either their Instagram or TikTok handle in the purchase process, or you can send them to a landing page. And once they insert it, then Gatsby pulls all of their information from TikTok and Instagram and puts it into Klaviyo. So you'll know how many followers this person has. You'll know like what their potential reach is. But then you can also create kind of a modified like loyalty or ambassador program off of it. So let's say, because you'll get pinged and triggered, like this person just posted about you on TikTok in Klaviyo, and we'll know, oh, this is the 3rd time that they've done a video. So then you could send them a $5 code or something, or
so cool.
Lines.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, then you can say, you also set filters for like, if someone's made X amount of orders and they have X more than X amount of followers, then send them a free box and with like a kit that says, post this or whatever. You can send like a cocktail making kit using the product. Yeah, that's such a cool tool. Have you seen that actually succeed for some of the brands you work with?
Yeah. And that's an example of a tool that is like a small team that just created something really cool. And like now they're starting to scale pretty aggressively, but not a tool that went out and raised $200 million. And then because they not every company is meant to go public, but there's a lot of like really cool innovation, I think, happening in the space. So that would be one example. That allows the brands to connect with their customers in a more effective way. But I think the founders that are willing to go the extra mile and like maybe actually even pick up the phone and call that person who has plus orders and has the 100,000 plus followers, or doing things that are a little bit more personalized. I've seen time and time again that the founder, I don't know if founder led would be the right term, but like there's brands where you don't really know who the founder is. And then there's brands where the founder and the brand are almost inseparable. And I think the brands where the founder, like backstory and everything sort of ties in together, the customers relate much more to the founder. And so like sending a selfie text out of you in the warehouse to promote a new product versus just having it come from a brand, people connect a lot more with that.
100%. I mean, even I'll raise you one more to that. In the future, I think people will be using deep fakes to like hire other people to do their founder calls and founder videos for them. So you won't even have to use the founder's time. You'll just have like their intern pretending to be them. And yeah, it'll like enable that founder story to keep growing.
I was at the D2CX event in LA last week, and I was approached by somebody who has this tool, again, plugs into Klaviyo, but it basically allows you to create like personalized videos at scale for post-purchase thank you flows, which I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm going to like demo that next week and see if we could potentially incorporate it in some places. But
cool. Wait, what's it called?
Windsor, I think.
Because I thought you were going to say, I've seen people use apparently for sales videos, like B2B services will have tools like that to create sales videos at scale. So they'll like insert a video into their email to you being like, buy my product. But yeah, there's so many applications of that. I think videos and short form footage are going to be heavily utilized. That's why I like tools like Tolstoy too, that do the same thing of telling the founder story on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's just more authenticity, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there any sort of like last tips, tricks, advice, whatever, for founders that are listening? And if there's one piece of wisdom you could give, what would it be?
I love what you said about authenticity. I think that there's so much that can be added for founders to just bring their own voice to their brands and be really authentic and add more low quality video. Like publish over perfect is a really good way to approach an early stage brand, in my opinion. You just put it out there and something will stick. So that would be my best advice, I think.
I love that. So many times we work with brands where they get like paralyzed by perfection and then they don't actually do anything, or like the brand guidelines. I have nightmares about that. I'm like, let's just get it out there, test it and see what happens. I mean, you're not Nike, at least not yet. So
totally. Yeah, I agree.
Well, can you let everybody know where they can find you online if they want to get you?
Yes. Please find us at cpgd.xyz. It stands for the Consumer Packaged Goods Directory.xyz. And then the Instagram handle is exactly that as well. So you'll find us there too. And definitely add your brands and your agencies to the directory so that we can help continue to curate the best of the best online.
I'm going to go sign up right after this.
Yay!
Well, Thank you everybody for listening. As always, I'm Brandon Amoroso. You can find me at brandonamoroso.com or electricmarketing.com, and we'll see you next time.